Hey guys, here's a quick grow update. Today is June 26th. Garden's looking pretty nice right now because it's right in the middle of rainy season. We've actually got a very sunny day today, nice and warm, a little bit humid. So let's have a look at what we got. I've loved growing creeping plants this year. So there's some morning glory on the railings. I'd put some netting on the railings so it grows all over the place, and it's taken to it pretty well. There's my hops. Hops aren't quite as tall as they got last year, but there's definitely more bines coming out, and actually there's a lot of these offshoots. It got battered about a bit by the wind in spring, and now it's really bouncing back. There's a lot of vegetation coming out on it right now. And there are some hop cones forming on it as well. It's a bit difficult to see. Here's my cucumbers. Yeah, these two on this side here are Natsu Suzumi, which are a Japanese variety. They're quite disease resistant. You can see there's some cucumbers in there. I picked a couple off this morning as well, actually, so they're producing pretty well. The ones over to the right over here are not Natsu Suzumi. Those are some really cheap seedlings that I bought, and definitely not disease resistant. They had real problems with powdery mildew, and a bunch of the leaves have fallen off. They don't look so beautiful. The Natsu Suzumi didn't have any mildew whatsoever. A really strong plant. Good looking leaves on them as well, like not a speck on them. It's the first cucumbers I've grown in Japan that don't get messed around quite so easily. So hopefully they're meant to be pretty good with the heat as well, so hopefully they'll keep going all summer. Over in the corner, a bit difficult to see, they're also growing up the railings, is some Goya, bitter melon, easier to see on the outside, growing up there. My lemon tree, I'm going to move this into the other corner actually later on, because it's actually set some fruit this year. There's actually some lemons on there, and I've managed to knock a couple of them off. Trying to get at the cucumbers, trying to pick them before they get too big. So I'll move it where it's not going to get hit so much. The flowers on it are just beautiful smelling, especially at night. And yeah, we've got some fruit on it this year. Some tomatoes. This was meant to be a San Marzano, but it's obviously crossed with something else. It doesn't have the right shape. A friend of mine reckons they might have crossed with the Beaver Lodge. And I need to go down the home centre soon and get some extra stakes for it. It's getting... all of my cucumbers are getting really out of control. Tomatoes are getting really out of control. Getting really tall this year compared to previous years. In here's Atkinson tomato, looking pretty good. They had some pretty bad leaf curl early on, but I've started feeding them quite a lot of calcium, and the ones up the top, the new foliage, aren't curling. Next to it there is Ildi. They're sort of a plum shape, yellow tomato. Cherry tomato, they're just crazy good producers. This whole thing looked like oilseed rape the other day. It was just absolutely yellow with flowers, and it's pollinating pretty well. Yeah. Next to it are chocolate stripes, which is weird. It's the only one that didn't have any leaf curl, but I did get some blossom end rot on the first flight of fruit off it. Yeah, it's got this beautiful markings on it. Chocolate stripes, they turn a kind of stripy red and browny green. That one on there has got some blossom end rot, but I would just cut that off. Right here is a bishop's crown. It's actually one of the last plants that I sowed, but it's really catching up with the others. Behind it in there is a goat's weed. Goatsweed has just started flowering actually, you see some flowers in there. And this is, I've tried to grow this before but never had luck, and it's really cool. It's kind of, there's slightly hairy, the leaves on it and the stems. There's a romaine lettuce in there. My first time growing this variety. Really fun to grow though. And this is ají amarillo. I have to try not to call it ajicito, which is what I grew last year. This is the amarillo. Yeah, and this thing's got really big already. Yeah, actually usually, as you can see, I usually have the shade nets coming off of the railings, but I've just bought a load of stuff to make my shade net a lot higher because this thing's already there. It's already tall enough to be above the railings. There's Boot Orange Copenhagen. Again, it's not huge. I had a pretty late start on a lot of my chilies, but it's catching up. I tried to grow that last year as well, but it didn't happen. Right here is Albanian Red Hot. Quite a wiry, tall looking plant, but I just realised today there's actually some fruits growing in there. A bunch of aphids on the end. Damn it. Yeah, so it's got some fruits growing at least. And this is the Palmero, which has got tons of peppers in there. I usually don't grow sweet peppers, but I got given this by a friend and thought, why not? It's looking pretty good. Looking forward to eating some of them. In here is the Peach Boot SS. That's really taking off just recently. It's going to be a big old plant soon, I think. Yellow Devil's Tongue. Still pretty close to the ground at the moment, but it's got a lot of foliage. It's going to be taking off soon, I think. And here is the Ají Verde. Again, one that I tried to grow last year but didn't. All my seedlings died. Again, I had a slow start, but yeah, everything's catching up now. It's rainy season. So behind it is Ají Peruvian. Again, one that I have tried to grow before with no luck. I imagine that's going to start. It's got some buds. It might start flowering properly soon. The Ají Verde has started flowering. Pasilo Baggio. It's not too tall or too lush, but it has started to put out some chilies on it. And that's Peach Congo, yet another one that I tried to grow last year but didn't have any luck. Yeah, slow but catching up. There's all my mint. Love having mint tea or fresh mint, so I've got a ton of different mints growing this year. There's a Thai chili, because why not? Not overly fond of Thai chilies, but I do like that they blend well with a lot of dishes, especially like sour, hot and sour dishes. And some beans here, which are looking really, really good. They do need some training though. But yeah, they're looking really lush, really nice looking plants at the moment. I've got some lavender, not looking too hot, but I'm not so bothered. Some thyme, which needs a haircut. Some rosemary, which always does alright during the winter, but when it starts to warm up, it doesn't really like it. Not in a pot that size, at least. And this is Kushinsai, which is kind of like a semi-aquatic. I guess it's almost similar to a like watercress, or it's a mustard family, I think. It's grown pretty well. Once it gets a bit taller, you just pinch the shoots off and you can cook them, usually with soy sauce or something like that. And Morning Glory. Yeah, as you can see, I've grown a ton of creeping plants this year. Just to try and keep the heat off of the house. You see the windows behind these shade nets, and the sun comes up right over there, so morning sun is really intense on this side of the house. As a result, this is very thin aluminium sheet, just to try and bounce some of the heat off of these dart pots. Try and keep the root temperature a little bit cooler. And next to it here is Asarina, which is a creeping snapdragon. Really beautiful looking flowers on it, really like that. Another morning glory here. I bought this just because I've never seen this leaf pattern on a morning glory. It did flower soon after I first got it, when it was still a seedling. And nice looking flower on it. There's a Kiwano, which I guess is a kind of cucumber melon type of thing. It's tending to grow outwards rather than upwards. I've got to train it a little bit more to grow upwards. There's a moonflower next to it. I quite like to sit outside here at night time. It'd be nice if there's some blooms out at night. Meant to be pretty nice flowers. There's my medaka. There's some tiny little, I guess they're type of minnow or something. Very tiny little fish in there. And I got these water hyacinths, I think they are. They grow like crazy, but I wanted some different plants in there, so actually I cut off some mint and it's growing, I guess, aquaponically. They do actually put out roots pretty easily once you put them in water. There's passion fruit vine, which just this morning, there's my first passion flower. Really beautiful. I really hope I get some fruit off of it. I know my wife has never had passion fruit before. And there's one more morning glory, which I didn't plant, but a seed was left over in the soil from last year. And oka wakame, which I have no idea what it is in English, but these leaves, they form a good green curtain over the house. You can pick these off and boil them and eat them. It's called oka wakame. It's meant to be eaten kind of like wakame seedweed, but to be honest, it tastes a lot more like spinach in my opinion. It's quite earthy, slightly bitter. Quite nice if you season it correctly. And last but not least, I've actually got a Venus flytrap down there. I loved these things when I was a kid, but they always died, and so far so good this year. I'm having some success with growing this one. I catch a couple of moths when I sit out here at night time that fly past and can feed them to the Venus flytrap. But yeah, that's it. Cheers.